The Great Outdoors, presented by Camp Abbott Trading Company.
Most of us take road maps for granted. It's easy for today's travelers to get a clear map to guide them on their way. However, this was not true with early voyagers who had to make their own maps. And one of the most significant chart-making explorers of the 19th century was Captain John C. Fremont, mapping the way for hundreds of thousands who came west over the Oregon Trail. In this week's Great Outdoors, sponsored by Camp Abbott Trading Company and Sun River, Brian Jennings tells the story.
In the 1840s, there was no GPS, no Google Maps to guide immigrants to the Oregon Territory. But Major John C. Fremont helped pave the way for more than 300,000 people who came west over the 2,200-mile Oregon Trail from Independence, Missouri to Oregon City. He led 4 expeditions to the American West and the Oregon Territory to map the entire route. Today you can see his original map, now on permanent display at the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center near Baker City, thanks to an arrangement made by Senator Ron Wyden with the Library of Congress, where the map had been stored for 170 years.
Okay, that looks impressive.
They're all basically versions of famous map, a map that was very important to the Oregon Trail that was produced in 1846. So they're all different versions of the same information, which was really the primary sort of guidebook that was initially used to inform pioneers about what was out west.
The 1846 Fremont map is amazingly detailed.
So his maps include information about altitudes, weather, observations of what was along the route. And this was essentially the Oregon Trail route. In 1843, there was a wagon train going about the same time.
All his meteorological observations.
All his observations.
Interesting.
Along with a map, Fremont wrote a book about his expeditions.
This book was published, it was actually just a report to Congress, but it became sort of a bestseller of the day. For a government report, that's kind of unusual. But Fremont, along with the help of his wife, Jessie, wrote up his notes of his trip. It really gave people a lot of information, a lot of unknown information, rivers and such that they thought were out there. He kind of explained that some of those, weren't what they thought. And so it was the first detailed information, and there's drawings, scientific drawings of the flora and the fauna. There were fold-out maps, which are also copies of this map.
This is really a great follow-up to what Lewis and Clark had.
It was the follow-up, because between Lewis and Clark and this expedition, mainly the knowledge was some fur trappers, fur traders, and kind of casual knowledge, not really drawn down. So this was very specific.
The Fremont book and map became very influential.
Would this have encouraged settlers and immigrants to come here?
Absolutely it did, because before that it was sort of a great unknown. People didn't know what was out there. They didn't know if it was worth the trip. They didn't know what they would encounter. This became the basis for a lot of other Oregon Trail guidebooks that other people wrote. So absolutely, and there's some of the early settlers and pioneers carried this book along with them on their trips.
One of the Fremont expeditions also explored Central Oregon as he worked his way to Northern California.
They had a tough winter in 1844 trying to get through that section through the Sierra Nevadas and stuff, and a lot of equipment was broken and lost. They lost a cannon in Central Oregon. Some of the landmarks in Central Oregon are named, like Christmas Valley is where they were at Christmas, this expedition. And at the time, Fremont, he became kind of a celebrity as this dashing explorer. On his later expeditions, he got involved in the Mexican-American War in California and the politics, and his reputation became a little tarnished, but then he was a senator and a governor, and so he ran for president. He was a celebrity of the day, absolutely, based on his daring and expedition.
The John Fremont Oregon Trail map, leading thousands through the rugged great outdoors to settle in Oregon and the West. I'm Brian Jennings for Central Oregon Daily.
Fremont's report to Congress became the guidebook for Americans who wanted to push westward. Thousands read his influential account of the explorations, studied his route west, and followed his suggestions. Thank you to Brian. And a special thanks to our Great Outdoors sponsor, Camp Abbott Trading Company in Sun River, for giving us the time and resources to explore the lakes, rivers, and mountains across our beautiful state every Wednesday night on Central Oregon Daily.